Before we start the training workshop for all abbreviations and functions of all methodologies, all techniques and all approaches of teaching English language, I wish you subscribe now. Once you subscribe, you will not miss reaching all the coming training courses. So let's just start now. The function of ESL methodology. Engage. Engage is here where students start thinking in English before learning new content. Students need to prepare for learning English. Games, showing pictures, discussions, listening to music, brainstorming, vocabulary, and storytelling are some excellent activities to engage and immerse students in the class. Study. Study is mainly the board work of the lesson. It's here where students will learn or review English language topics. Teachers can use textbooks, study materials, videos, and drilling exercises to help students learn and use the English language accurately. Other activities include gap fill quizzes, matching exercises, and word order arrangement. Activate. Activate is where students use what they have learned in activities such as role plays, dialogues, debates, and surveys. During this stage, teachers help students with their pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. Teachers can do this through elicitation and demonstration. The sequence activity of ESL. Engage. Students discuss what issues interviewees face, what makes an interviewee successful. Activate. Teacher gives students an interviewee situation to act out. While students are doing the role play, teacher makes notes of errors and language challenges that students face. Study. After the role play, teacher draws the students' attention to the vocabulary and grammar errors made during their role play. Then students can work on a controlled practice activity. Activate. Students role play another interview. This time, students are expected to make fewer errors. The function of PPP Technique. Pre, while, post. There are 3 stages of pre, while, and post. The pre stage allows us time to prepare learners for the final task. The pre stage often includes some kind of speaking, reading, or listening. The while stage is the function task itself. It allows learners to actually practice speaking, reading, or listening, or a specific feature of writing. The post stage allows learners to get feedback on their performance and conclusion to the task. This often includes some reading or writing as well. Many speaking and writing lessons in coursebooks follow this kind of format. The function of PPP Technique. A PPP lesson is divided into 3 stages, not surprisingly: presentation, practice, and production. The presentation stage is basically the beginning of the lesson. It starts with a warmer or a lead-in to get the students engaged and interested in the topic, or to wake them up if your lesson is at the end of the day. Then the teacher presents the target language of the lesson. There are a number of ways this can be done, such as presenting the language in context, eliciting the language, or telling a personal short story. The teacher then tells the students the rules of the particular language structure and explains the meaning, form, and pronunciation. The second stage is the practice stage. In this stage, the learners do activities to practice the target language, which requires total accuracy. These activities are by their very nature the controlled practice of the language. The final stage is the production stage. This is when the students do more activities, but this time they're less controlled and freer. In other words, the learners are free to use the target language in whichever way they wish in the activity set up by the teacher. The The function of TPL technique. The TPL framework. Pre-task. Teachers choose materials related to the task. Choosing materials will serve as springboard to the topic content. Task preparation. Teachers introduce the topic and task. Students prepare their own inputs for the task. Task realization. Students planning a report. Student producing a poster or a leaflet for distribution or giving a presentation. Post-task knowledge focus. Teachers evaluate students' reports or presentations. A better understanding of the knowledge. Teachers' reflection. Can the tasks motivate the students to engage in the activities? The function of TTT technique. TTT approach, test, teach, test. The main target for this stage is for ESL instructor to observe errors that students are making with the target language. In the test stage, the teacher should set the context by having the students do a test of some kind. It can be an actual test, or it could be a task or activity of some kind that uses the target language. The teacher will observe carefully and monitor in order to see how students are using the language. Look particularly for any errors or omissions and write them down in preparation for the teach stage. Teach. The main target of this stage is to fill in gaps in knowledge with explicit teaching and for students to focus on accuracy with the target language. This is where the teacher explicitly teaches some grammatical points or presents a vocabulary set. What you do here depends on the results from the test stage. If students made errors with the target language, then focus on that. For example, if your target language is the simple present and students struggled with making negative present sentences, teach that. Test. The goal of the second test stage is to help students improve their fluency while maintaining accuracy with the target language. To round out the lesson, students will do another test of some kind. This can be a task or activity that uses the language in a freer way. The focus should be on improving fluency with the language while still maintaining a good degree of accuracy. The teacher should monitor and offer feedback to the students. Hopefully, accuracy and fluency have improved with respect to the language taught during the previous stage. The function of TPR technique. TPR Total Physical Response. TPR has become a very popular technique, especially with the children in the classroom with young learners. Using this method can be as simple as bearing commands such as touch your nose or touch your ears, with the action of doing so yourself in very simple terms. This means that you do the following. Start by saying a word or a phrase and then demonstrating the action. You then say the word and encourage your students to do the action. Repeat this a few times. Then ask students to repeat the word as they do the action. So far, the rules apply to both the actual classroom as well as the online classroom. From here, you need to adjust your methods a little. The function of ICQ technique. ICQ stands for Instruction Checking Questions. They are used in language classes to ensure that students have understood instructions that the teacher has given. There are simple questions that should require only an answer that is 1 or 2 words. ICQs are ideal for eliciting feedback from students. The function of ICQ versus CCQ technique. The differences between ICQ's instruction checking question and CCQ's concept checking questions are similar. They test different things. ICQs are designed to test understanding of instruction, while CCQs test whether or not students have understood something related to the language. For example, a CCQ might be related to the difference between curly and straight hair, or the rules for the simple past. CLT, Communicative Language Teaching. It is an approach which focuses on developing learners' communicative skills in a meaningful context. However, the application of communicative language teaching (CLT) in English language classroom has recently been debated extensively. Teachers still find it difficult and challenging to adapt CLT effectively in the classroom. Specifically, the study intended to observe and describe whether or not the teacher focused on CLT in terms of lesson development and implementation. This can be seen in certain features of the observation towards CLT, such as pair or group work activities. Fluency of the language, error correction implemented by the teacher, and the role of the teacher. It can be concluded that CLT approach should be given importance in the classroom by teachers in the learning process. What are the main principles of communicative language teaching? Communicative language teaching integrates reading, writing, and speaking, which can have students practice multiple skills at once. It also uses groups or pairs for activities and tools and technology to create a more individualized learning experience for students, which aids their language learning abilities, such as their fluency in the language. What is communicative language teaching example? An example of communicative language teaching can be an activity that has students discuss their favorite sport. CLT prioritizes the individual needs and interests of students, so having students group together or pair together to discuss their favorite sport can have them practice speaking the known language regarding something that they are passionate about. What are the benefits of CLT? There are various benefits to CLT, such as it being holistic and engaging. Students who can discuss their favorite things may feel more passionate in speaking to others and out loud instead of speaking about something that is not as engaging to them. CLT is also a learner-centered approach, in which activities are focused on and driven by students instead of teachers. EAP, English for academic purposes. EAP is a branch of English for special or specific purposes and based on the study of how language is used for academic purposes. CALLA Approach, Cognitive Academic Language Learning Approach. Teachers model speaking strategies. Student practice teacher's guide to proficiency. It's an instructional model aimed at accelerating the academic achievement of second language learners. The model proposes to do this by integrating content, language, and learning strategies through a 5-stage cycle involving preparation, presentation, practice, evaluation, and expansion. The model has been found useful in posting learning outcomes both in mainstream school subjects and English as a second language. The function of TPS technique. Think. In this stage, the teacher provokes the students' thinking with a question and they can take a few moments to think about the question. This activity can promote the students' critical thinking to find a solution individually to the problem posed by the teacher. Problem-solving activity. Pair. This stage gets the students to work in pairs with their nearby neighbors, designated partners, or a desk mate to discuss answers for the questions given. Here, they can compare their mental or written notes and identify the answers they think are best, most convincing, or most unique. Working cooperatively. Share. After the students have talked in pairs for a few moments, then the teacher calls for the pairs to share their thoughts with the rest of the class. She can do this by going around in a round-robin fashion, calling on each pair, or she can take answers as they are called out, or as hands are raised. Often, the teacher or a designated helper will record these responses on the board or on an overhead projector.